In 2006, Finland won the Eurovision Song Contest with a heavy rock group carrying a heavy rock song. That is the last time before Måneskin a rock song won Eurovision. But there's also one other song that told us what was going to happen around this time. Specifically, one song that told us where the 2022 contest was going to be held. Roll the footage! Wait, what? I thought that said Torino. Hello, this is J.E. Realize, and okay, that was interesting. Apparently the Eurovision Song Contest this year was held in Torino. I kinda hoped it would be held in Milan. Well, I also kinda hoped it would be held in Verona because of the meme, but okay. You know, I don't really know that much about Torino. I admittedly know more about Genoa than Torino. And yes, I'm gonna call it Torino. If you have a problem with that, deal with it. I did say that I wasn't really interested in watching the ESC because American Song Contest just kind of screwed me over. You know how it is. They don't know how to make a song contest. And I thought, I'm just not in the mood for a song contest today, or who knows when am I going to be in the mood for it. In the end, I decided to watch the Eurovision Song Contest for two main reasons. One is because, well, I'm bored, and an addendum to that because I needed to make weekly videos to stay at least somewhat relevant. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Eurovision. It's not gonna be the most tearful reunion, but at least I can make some content out of this. But I'm gonna do this my way, and I'll get back to that. The second reason is, I told myself, hey, you were like this with Eurovision 2021. You were kind of disappointed with the songs at first, and then you warmed up to them. I mean, it didn't help that someone told me that Eurovision 2022 stock is worse than Eurovision 2021. But I'm like, you know what? We can always factor that as subjective. Let's just roll into this. Back to that initial point. I've always experimented with how I wanted to watch Eurovision. And I already kind of told you this in previous videos regarding the American Song Contest, how I watched Eurovision. So with this format, I decided I'm going to space them out week by week like I did with American Song Contest and shield myself from the spoilers. Which isn't hard because I live in the United States. I just don't need to visit the Reddit right now. And if you're frustrated because I chose this decision, well, I chose this decision, and it's kind of going to be hard to make multiple videos in 1 week if I know that I probably don't have that much content to start with. So, that's just how it's going to be. So I decided first off, before going into the YouTube recordings, yes, I know they're on Peacock, but I don't trust NBC's commentators with this stuff. Never again. There was apparently this one radio station in Massachusetts that covered Eurovision since like 2018. At least that's what Wikipedia told me. And one of the commentators was Ewan Spence, and I really appreciate this guy's knowledge and insight on the Eurovision project. The problem is, when I went to their live radio feed, I could not find live performances of the semifinals or the final of Eurovision, or even any mention of them. And what's worse, the channel is Portuguese because it caters to a mainly Portuguese-speaking audience. Well, I came all the way here for Eurovision. I'm like, yeah, basically all it was is like news bulletins, interviews, radio, music, and soccer. Football. So yeah, YouTube recordings it is. And this is about the time where I would tell you to get a VPN, but I haven't sold out yet. So let's move on to the beginning of the show, where we have this inventor who looks strikingly familiar. Well, simply because he's an inventor. And he builds a drone. And this drone becomes sentient and starts flying around and dancing and singing, and then leaves and then transforms into another drone. Kind of bizarre, but this is Eurovision. Then we go down to the stage, which I'll get to the stage. You have all these people performing their opening act. I kind of forgot the gist of it, but you know how it is. Kitschy costumes and just some good party music and such. And then we go into introducing the hosts afterwards. You know, standard fare. As for the stage, I have to say, it's a pretty cool looking stage. It deviates a lot because they're trying to go for a more Salvador Sobral strategy, but it looks pretty tasteful, all things considered. I mean, it could look worse. It looks like they took a national final stage set in an amphitheater and just built around it. They also gave us that waterfall feature in front of the stage, which only really exists because the green room is surrounding it, which is a neat feature that I bet you they're gonna keep. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did for another few years while we get through this pandemic together and subsequent pandemics, because you know the nature of things. Well, if you don't know, well, don't cry to me if you're infected with the avian flu. Now we're going to have 17 performances in the semifinal, which I kind of wish there were more, but I get why there's not a lot of people competing in Eurovision these days. It's still a hefty amount of acts, but still. And for the postcards, we see the aforementioned drone flying around Italian cities with projections of who's going to represent the upcoming country, all that sort of stuff. I did look like I was riffing on Eurovision postcards before when I said, oh, they're rehashing the same postcards. I may have to re-speak. Yes, they do, but the postcards Eurovision has are leagues better than ASC postcards. ASC got nothing on this. Like, nothing. These postcards are simple, clean, insightful, entertaining, and they have the advantage of being open to people with multiple languages. Because, guess what? No languages on board the postcards. That's lovely. Now we get into the first act of the night, and it's Albania. And they decided, let's do the whole bodysuit thing from last year, but give it more plunge. And goodness sake, this was more a performance than it was a song. But you know what? I don't dislike it. It's pretty crazy. Also, they managed to get in more Spanish than most pseudo-Spanish Latin bop numbers, which is pretty cool considering how no one really cares about Spanish in the contest. I mean, seriously, nothing here that the Spanish language provides could ever compete against De La Finiquera. I could say more about the performance, but I think I'm gonna move on to the next one. But first, I decided to introduce, in honor of the Albanian song, a secrecy meter, in which I rank songs out of 10 based on how hidden these acts were to me before I got down and watched the performances. So in the case of Albania, they get a 9.5 out of 10 because I really haven't heard of them, though I kind of vaguely feel like I have. Now we move on to Latvia, and their mindset is, if we can't qualify on talent, then we should just go for broke and send a really kooky entry. And I'm gonna make quite a few comparisons with this. This looks like if Leto Svet and No Prejudice had a baby. And in fact, this song kind of reminds me of that one time Harry Wilson from Cyber Chase for Real, yes, the PBS Kids show, served as a DJ, and after the news segment he played the next song and it was about eating broccoli. And I feel like this song could have easily replaced that song. I know it's a parody, but seriously, it fits! This song is not really about eating healthy. That's not their thing. It's about being sustainable and taking care of your body as well as your planet and looking cool and sexy while doing it. Yeah, that's the individualist mindset at work, really blaming yourself for climate change and resource scarcity and all that sort of stuff. Congratulations. Now, this is really cool and all, but I'm not enthused about their chances to qualify. They can't qualify unless they have help from Anamata. And last year, they couldn't qualify even with Anamata. But you never know. New dawn, new day, that sort of stuff. Although, I would be surprised if they did qualify, even though I really like this song. It's, you know, it's a bop. Secrecy level 4 out of 10. Because a lot of people kind of hinted to me with this song, and then even told me, Oregon is a lot like this song. If you like this song, you'll love this song. Well, I don't really like Oregon's song that much, but Third up is Lithuania, which sends a song in Lithuanian. I know the last time they used Lithuanian in a Lithuanian song was in 2018, but they just kind of threw it in. I don't remember the last time they sent a song fully in Lithuanian. But look at her. She's trying to copy France. Like, she's got that French aesthetic, except with the Lithuanian language. Glad to know someone is ripping off something that isn't the winner of the previous Eurovision. Secrecy level 6 out of 10 because someone told me, in fact, the singer told me that she was sending a song in Lithuanian. Fourth up is Switzerland, and I kind of had quite a bit of expectation with Switzerland because it looked like they got their groove back. It looked like they got their mojo going again. Okay, that's a little subjective. It's hard to argue whether or not they had a mojo to begin with. But in 2019 and 2021, they sent in bangers of songs. But this one is arguably a bit more disappointing. They went for more of a toned down, just kind of sad aesthetic. Yeah, Switzerland's performance was a little bare. Another problem is it sounds like What a Wonderful World, except without being What a Wonderful World. I just don't know. I mean, the theme and the song appeals to someone, but I feel let down, Switzerland. I thought you figured out how to be competitive in Eurovision, and then you send this? Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Not really worth keeping anyway. Then we get Slovenia, and they send in more of an old-timey disco song. When I first heard this, I thought this was really nothing more than a nothing burger. It's nice and catchy, but at the same time, I feel like this is the kind of song you would play on the supermarket intercom. I mean, sure, it's inoffensive for when you buy cabbages, but nothing much beyond that, except for those Malcolm Lincoln shots. You remember Estonia 2010 where you would have the cameras repeat the shot and the move through? Yeah, that gives me that aesthetic. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Next up is Ukraine? I thought they were dead! Okay, all joking aside, I'm not sure if I want to cover Ukraine right now. I mean, it's good that they came to the contest. Kind of bizarre, though, considering current events. You know what? Ukraine always qualifies for the final. I'll talk about them in the final. And don't worry, I have a lot of stuff to say. So you just hold on tight. Then we get this intermission stuff with the hosts and with pre-packaged video clips. And then we move on to Bulgaria. And they sent us a rock song. And I was really pumped for this. It really got me going for the first few seconds. And then the rest of the song was a letdown. The musical package wasn't really tight. The lyrics were really clunky. And it feels like rock for the sake of rock. I mean, yeah, this is the first time we heard a rock song after Måneskin won Eurovision. But it's just so damn disappointing. The only two things I can say is, one, it's better than Bad Girl from South Dakota, but that's a pretty low bar to clear. And second, is that Bulgarian Quidditch seeker Victor Krum performing on the bass? I got to admire continuity. Secrecy level for Bulgaria, 10 out of 10. So next up we get the Netherlands, and we get basically someone is trying to copy France. Again! But they're also trying to copy Birds by Anouk from Eurovision 2013. You know, it's got that sort of minimalist aesthetic, really focusing on the song. Not really bombastic a song, more of an atmospheric kind of song with a bit of punch to it. I mean, I kind of like it. I did contact someone from the Netherlands saying, oh, this song is worse than Birth of a New Age, which I'm not completely in agreement with. Like, I can see where he's coming from, but I kind of like this song better. Secrecy level, 9 out of 10. I might have heard some murmurs and rumors about this one. Next up, we get Moldova and Stubshy Stoob! Really? How did they fly under my radar? Seriously, I remember these guys from Eurovision 2005 and 2011, and they brought some friends! Granted, their other performances featured other performers, but these guys are credited. They're not just in there for show. And you know what? I'm pumped for this song. I'm pretty entertained by it. Yeah, sure. It's got more of a regional flavor that doesn't really appeal much across the continent. But, you know, I remember these from the early days, and it's just the right level of crazy to me. These guys get my secrecy level of 10 plus out of 10. How they managed to keep the secret that someone who had competed in Eurovision twice before was coming back to Eurovision, I do not know! Oh, and after the performance we get someone waving the Catalonian independence flag. Is that kosher? Is that allowed by the EBU? That's kind of presumptuous. We move on to Portugal, and this is pretty soft, atmospheric kind of song. Pretty endearing, and the whole everyone singing in a circle thing really adds to some sort of, I can't believe I'm saying it, pagan mysticism. And you know what? I'm sold. It's got this bit of magic that I can't really argue against. Secrecy level 9.5 out of 10 though, because I feel like Soldade, that name I may have recognized from somewhere. Croatia is next, and there really is nothing to write home about Croatia. Their song is just there. She's probably singing about love triangles or something. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. The song and the performance are really nothing special. They're utterly forgettable. Then we go into Denmark, and from what I saw of the postcards, I imagine I would be blown away by a girl rock group. And then you get the lead performing on a piano. It reminds me of Valentine's Lost. Oh god, this is 2007 all over again. But after the first minute, she gets up, goes, joins the band, and they pick up. And the rest of the song basically reminds me of Etc. from Ireland. Oh my god, it's 2009 all over again. So far, the rock songs are rather letdowns. Bulgaria's song, if you place that in 2009, it wouldn't qualify from there either. It would be pretty much low quality. This song, it's fine, but it's really nothing special, and it suffers similar problems to the first one. It knows what it is. That's the good thing I could say about it, but it's still kind of not as compacted and a lot lighter than I would have liked for even a girl rock entry. Denmark secrecy level 10 out of 10. Next we move on to Austria, and before I get into this song, the aesthetic kind of feels like it's the same kind of song Austria, Switzerland, and Germany had been trying to send for the 2010s, and either not qualifying, when referring to Austria and Switzerland, or just placing last in the final, like with Germany. You know, you got your Apollo, your Stones, your Last of Our Kind, your My Time to Shine, you know, all that sort of stuff that people don't really care about. And in fact, this song specifically reminds me of a Austrian national final song from 2016. There was this song called Sky is the Limit. It kind of gives me that same vibe. But from there, everything differs. It gives me that solid mid-2000s Eurobeat that, it just kills me. It really does. I envy the Magical Girl team that gets this as their opening theme. It's that good. Gets me pumped, gets me going, gets me dancing, and I can just sit back and appreciate the song. That being said, I don't know if enough people agree with me to advance this to the final. We're just gonna have to see. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Okay, now we got Iceland, and apparently another group calling themselves Sisters. And they sent in an Icelandic song, which you gotta give them credit for that. This song, though, feels really old-timey Eurovision, like 1960s or 1990s. Well, maybe more 1990s. But this song really feels like a time capsule to earlier days of Eurovision, where you could just sit back and calm yourself down knowing that it's just a simple song and performance, nothing too crazy, that Family 4 vibe. And admittedly, I haven't really listened to Family 4. I really need to get on to listening to Family 4 in order to see if I can make that comparison. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. And now we get to Greece. 2001, they sent in a song called Die For You. 2022, they sent in a song called Die Together. Looks like we've come full circle. Pray for the ones that we got and blessed by the ones that we lost. But, man, while I really like the atmosphere of this song, especially near the end, I can't help but feel creeped out by her. Like, she looks like she's about to go full Yandere with the whole I can't leave you for another, and of course the whole dying together thing. I don't want to die together with you! I don't want to die at all! I mean, really nice song, but I just really don't want to tempt fate. 10 out of 10 secrecy level. Okay, and now we go into Norway. And yeah, what else can I say about this song except it's bonkers? Hold up, guys. Did Ylvis put you up to this? I listened to some Ylvis songs. I listened about Stonehenge and The Language of Love and the dubstep and the Massachusetts. And of course, what did the Fox say? This sounds like the kind of song that Ylvis would send in if they wanted to compete in Eurovision. My goodness sake, it's on like Donkey Kong. At least I'll give them credit. They actually came up with a genius new Laura Numeroff title. If you give a wolf a banana. Laura Numeroff, if you're listening, pay royalties to these guys and write that book. Secrecy level 2 out of 10, because everyone wanted to tell me about it. Not that I can say I really like this song, but you know, you got to recognize Eurovision kookiness for Eurovision kookiness. And finally, we get to Armenia, represented by, wait, wasn't she representing Malta in 2019? Anyway, they had an unprecedented 3-year absence. Not unprecedented because, you know, Armenia leaves for any little thing. And the song's called Snap. And this is just kind of forgettable. Like, you would play this in the background, but really nothing to write home about, except she must have been watching way too much Infinity War. The stage is pretty neat, though. But wait a minute, that's another thing I must compare to Malta, because Malta did the whole closed room thing before they opened it up to the wider audience for the final chorus. Seriously! They've just been trying to copy Malta 2019. Well, at the very least, it's not copying Malta 2021, because you know, it's kind of hard to copy a formula like that, especially since Malta 2021 was a copy of Israel 2018 to begin with. Secrecy level 10 out of 10. Then after we get all the songs, we get the start voting now moment, the recap, we get history of Italian discotheque songs, and we also get a look at some songs from the Big Five that are going to compete. I skipped the Big Five songs. I'm going to wait until the grand final to see them. And then we get into the voting results. No, wait, that's my ranking for semifinal 1. Feel free to look at it. I decided I'm not going to talk about the top 10 qualifying round because American Song Contest kind of did the same thing when they decided, oh, we're not going to reveal all the qualifiers until next week. But I'm going to take it one step further. I'm not going to talk about who qualified for the final until we get to the final and I watch them all without prior knowledge. That's just what I'm going to do. Well, besides that, I gotta say that when making that ranking of mine, I'm kind of disappointed by the quality of these Eurovision songs. But then again, it could be that all the good songs are in semifinal 2. And that's going to be the group of death, which isn't unprecedented. But if it turns out this is the group of death, I'm going to be sorely disappointed, especially after having such a rough ASC. If you put Alexa and Wonderland in this semifinal, they probably not only have a good chance of qualifying, but could probably make top 5, depending on how they manage the fact that they can only have up to 6 people on stage. That's the biggest factor. With that being said, do the feedback thing, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike if you're not a fan of me not talking about the qualifiers until the final. Follow me on Twitter at JERealize. This has been JERealize. I'll see you next time, and this is what you get for not voting on my Twitter. I had a poll saying, which video should I do next? No one showed up. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing that. Like, seriously, I gave you the floor.